Welcome to Learning to Glow, a show about wellness, skin health, and self-development. I'm your host, Jess. I'm a mom, entrepreneur, and skincare expert. I'm so excited to share tips on how to achieve healthy skin and bring amazing guests in the field of health, fitness, aging gracefully, and personal growth. Let's explore all different ways we can take care of ourselves as women, both inside and out, to truly shine. So let's get glowing. Hi everyone, welcome to our show, Learning to Glow, and I'm so glad you're here. Our guest today is Anne-Marie. She is a health and fitness expert, and we are going to be talking about so many different great topics today in this world of nutrition, fitness, hormones, you name it. We covered a lot of ground here. Anne has overcome hormonal imbalances and emotional eating herself, and she has done this with a program, Metabolic Mastery Method. Her and her husband have over a decade of experience as registered nurses in the ER, ICU, and dialysis. Anne and her husband have a lot of certifications from personal training and fitness to nutrition specialists and holistic female hormonal health practitioners, which is something that we really dive into today in this area. They empower women going through perimenopause to eat what they want without sabotaging their results. She shares her story of having cystic acne with us. That's kind of how it started. And she had major gut issues and hormonal imbalances. After she was put on different medications, such as Accutane and birth control to help these problems, a lot of her issues got worse. And she was able to resolve her medical issues. And now she helps others. Her clients are women over 35 who need help losing weight and balancing their hormones. So her focus is in perimenopause, which we talk a lot about today. She also shares 3 of the common factors holding women back, protein recommendations, and some fitness tips. I absolutely love chatting with her. Her story, her knowledge were incredible. And just make sure to stay into the end because she is giving my listeners a special free gift. You want to send the word Jess to her Instagram DMs and you will get this special offer. And make sure to follow her as well. She has some really good information on her Instagram. I wanted to also share our latest review of the podcast from listener Amy810. This podcast always has such great conversations and Jess asks all the right questions. Don't miss an episode. Thank you so much for leaving this review. If you haven't left a review yet, I'd love to hear your feedback. You can leave one on Apple Podcasts, and now you can leave one on Spotify if that's where you listen. Thank you so much in advance. If you have any special requests, if you have topics that you want me to cover, something that's going on in your life or your wellness journey, and you want to hear more about it, let me know because I'm open to what you guys want to hear and what your needs are. So send me a message. I'm at Simply Just Skincare on Instagram. And you can also email me at jess@learningtoglow.com. So now we are on to this amazing episode. I hope you love it and enjoy. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Learning to Glow podcast. I'm your host, Jess, and welcome. Thank you for being here today. We have Anne with us. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yes, I'm so excited. I'm so excited you're here. And this is such a great topic that we are going to talk about today because especially a lot of my listeners are in, of a certain age, like dealing with perimenopause symptoms and even menopause. And one hot topic that we always have is like weight loss, fat loss, because things change as we get older. So I'm so excited to ask you some questions today about that. And I know everyone will be excited to hear. But first, if you could just explain a little bit about your background. I know you are a nurse and you've found yourself in the health and fitness area. So how did that happen? And just a little bit about you.
Sure. Yeah, sounds good. Yes, I am a nurse and I worked in the emergency for, I think, over 10 years at this point. And yeah, now I'm a fitness coach and I work with women over the age of 35. It's me and my husband. So he's a nutritionist in the coaching, and I do deal with the hormones and things like that. Interesting things like that. But so the reason why we started this was, there are 2 reasons. One, We started our coaching in the midst of COVID, and we felt like that was the time, people really started to think about their health, because so many people were losing their family and friends and everything, and people found themselves that they do not really have the immunity to fight if there were to another epidemic or pandemic or whatever to happen. Our bodies are not equipped. We saw a lot of younger women, younger men coming through the doors having very bad conditions because of COVID, that affecting their internal organs and really debilitating their lives. So, and we had one of those happen in our close family as well. So one of the reasons why we were like, okay, so we think this is the time that we need to switch gears and get into the fitness and health space, because there is fitness out there. People talk about losing weight, having a flatter belly, but people do not really integrate the health aspect of things, which is, I feel like, the most important thing into the fitness aspect. It's not integrated the right way. So that's one of the reasons. Another reason is my own personal story, because I am someone who really struggled with body issues, was bullied my entire life for the way I looked. I had teenage acne and acne, what do you call acne vulgaris? So you're pretty much, your face is covered with a big pus coming cyst. And the only part that I could see on my face was my lips and my eyes. Rest, I'm not even exaggerating. If you go back and look at my Instagram pictures, you'll see what I'm talking about. So it was really, really, really bad. And I remember even my close family and things like that asking me, when literally they know what's on my face, and I see my face on a daily, right? But they keep asking, hey, what's on your face? Are you eating a lot of chocolate? Are you not washing your face? Silly questions like that. It really hurt me so much. I was so not confident. I didn't feel like I want to go out. I didn't have a lot of friends, because I thought, no one wants to be friends with me, because I'm not that cool looking girl in high school and going into the college. I never felt confident dating a man. I always thought, who wants to date her? Right? She has a lot of acne. She's looking so thin, so fragile. And I remember talking to myself, you don't look good. And I remember saying this to myself, looking in the mirror, I hate you. Those words that can really take a toll on your life. And one day, my now husband, I heard one of his friends, I overheard him saying, are you crazy to date that girl? Like, she has a lot of acne on her face, and she has polycystic ovarian syndrome. I had that. And my doctor said I would never get pregnant, right? So it makes sense. Why would anyone want to date someone and marry someone who cannot really bear their children? So I was really in that dark room, sat in the trenches for such a long time, and fought myself out of it. And me and my husband together found this method, what we use in our coaching now, called Metabolic Mastery Method. And we revolve around hormones, because those little suckers, they really take a toll on people's lives, and people don't really know what's happening with their bodies when those little chemical messengers go out of whack. So I feel like that's very important. That education is very important, and we don't have enough of it, even though people are talking more about it. And perimenopause is especially that delicate times in women's life, like their puberty. The only difference is, at the time of puberty, we have information and education on, okay, you're going to have your periods, you're going to feel like this and that. But at the time of that perimenopausal transition, there's no education. We don't even know what's going on with our bodies anymore. So I feel like that's where this coaching and our expertise is going to come into play, because at the end of the day, we really want women to take control of their lives. If they want to run around with their kids without having knee pains and back pains, they should be able to do that. If they want to climb a flight of stairs without gasping for air, they should be able to do that. It's not a luxury, it's a necessity. So hence the reason why we started this.
Oh my gosh. That's a lot. Like what you dealt with in high school and college, it shows you how draining and upsetting and emotionally damaging skin disorders and different things like that can affect us, and the way we feel about ourselves. I mean, the things that we say to ourselves, it's so negative and so difficult. So I want to talk about the metabolic part. And I love that with your background in the medical field and adding that into health and fitness, how that can help women, especially over 35. But what did you do so you're back in college and you're having these issues with your skin.
Mhm.
What did you do and how did you get past that?
Oh, great question. So I did a lot of things like many
Okay.
of us do. As I mentioned, like skin was one of the biggest issues for me. If you are an expert in skin, and most people listening to this might already know this, as skin is the one of the largest organs that we have in our body, right? And it is the place where it shows whatever going inside, right? If something is going out of whack inside, that's going to show on your skin. So just putting some topical applications and doing some things on top of it is not going to fix anything. We got to go into the deeper of things. Look at your gut, what's going on there. Look at your other hormones, like how's that going. Look at your food, look at your lifestyle, look at the exercises you're doing. So there are so many things that plays into the reason why you're having skin issues. And for me at that point in time, I didn't really know this. Okay, this piece of information was lacking. No one ever told me this was going on. So I tried a lot of things like ointments, creams, and birth control pills, which I don't, oh my God, we'll get to that at some point in today's conversation. But birth control pills really, really, really messed up everything for me. And the other thing I also tried was Accutane. So that was my last ditch effort of having a clearer skin, because I saw all these videos on YouTube that raved about Accutane. People having dramatic transformations after taking Accutane. So I was really lured by it. I went ahead with it, was on Accutane for 1 year. And the damage it did, just not on my skin, but on my entire system, was not even worth it at this point. And I would have been happy if the acne did not come back once I stopped Accutane, but that didn't happen because I did not really fix the root of where this came from. And I learned it the hard way that my gut was not good because of all the diets that I did in the past. And my cardiovascular capacity was not good because exercising was something, yeah, I exercised casually, but also I overworked out seeing YouTube videos and things like that. So it was really taking a toll on my metabolism. So my metabolism was not great. And then because of the medication that I was taking, it really brought imbalance in my estrogen progesterone balance, which are our female sex hormones, correct? So those things I did not take into consideration, went on these medications. It caused me joint pain, aches at the age of 25. No one should be having those symptoms at the age of 25. My libido was out of the picture. I can't even think of a man. Like it irritated me, My mood swings were all over the place. And it was bad. It was bad. So I tried a lot of things in the past that finally got me into sitting down and think, what am I even doing? I've been doing this for 10 years, trying to figure this thing out, and it's not going anywhere. And whenever you go see a doctor, unfortunately, the only help they want to offer you is a birth control medication when you say that you have acne. And it's not really fixing your sex hormones. It's really shutting everything down, right? So your complete hormones go offline and the synthetic hormones take over. Yes, you get a period because it's a withdrawal bleed. It's not technically your period. It's just a withdrawal bleed. And then you feel like, okay, everything is working. You stop your birth control. Your hormones go online. And your hormones are like, oh my God, what am I even doing? I don't even know. So it goes out of whack. So it's going to exacerbate your acne. So what we do, we go back to birth control again. And this is going to be a never ending cycle. And the moment I realized that I could not conceive was where one of my wake up calls I had in my life. I had a few wake up calls which I ignored, and this was one of the biggest one I had. And I sat there and thought I should do something about it. Yes, I'm a nurse, but just having knowledge around anatomy, physiology of your body, and hormones and things is great, but was not helping me the way I wished it could. I went in and got certified as nutritionist, and then hormonal practitioner, and certified trainer, and all that. And I learned a lot about nutrition. And I figured, okay, the way I'm eating is the issue here. That was the issue. It was that simple as that. I just have to change little things in my life that is going to give me the end result, whatever I was looking for at that point. And I started to make small changes. It did not take a long time, you guys. Please do not think that changing a lifestyle is going to take ever. For me, 10 years of struggle, it only took me an year and a half to completely stop all the medications and clear my skin. I do have a lot of scarring happening at the moment that I'm working on, but I'm not breaking out anymore, which
Yeah.
was one of the biggest challenges I had since puberty hit.
You've been through so much. I'm so sorry. That is a lot. And I feel like this is such good information for women who are listening and who have struggled or who don't know what else to do, and or moms. I have a lot of moms
Mhm.
who have teenagers. And
Mhm.
what might be the first thing to do is, I know how a lot of people are trained. It's like, okay, there's a problem with the acne. Let's take them to the dermatologist. And no shade to dermatologists, but they don't look at the body holistically. They treat the acne they have like a handful of tools and that's what they use. And so for people who are going through this or their families going through this, to know, okay, wait, there's other things we can do first before you get to that level, because these Accutane symptoms, side effects, you mentioned joint pain, your hormones went crazy. I mean, I know it's very hard on the liver
Yeah.
to do Accutane. Is there anything else that you notice negatively from being on that medicine? And it's such harsh medicine. So it's
Yeah.
like, what else did you experience?
Yeah. One of the hardest thing that for me at that point to deal with myself was mood swings,
Mm.
depression. I was getting so sad for no reason, right? And then I get angry for no reason. And my boyfriend was like, "What's going on?" Like, he's my husband, and he stayed through all of that, and now it's a great thing. But at that time, he's like, "Hey, what's going on? Something is really off about you. Okay, something is really off." And mood swings, oh my god, it can take a toll on you. And I'm glad that I didn't go to the point where I wanted to do harmful things to myself. I'm glad that I picked myself up off of the floor before I got there. But I know a lot of women go to that extreme because of the influence of the medication. And another thing, this is so scary, is that I had some bladder incontinence issues back then too. Because this always goes back to your birth control medication really messing up your estrogen and progesterone. And your estrogen, that sex hormone, is really needed for your muscle elasticity and things like that. And your bladder is another muscle. Okay. And when that get loosened up a little bit, if you sneeze, if you cough, you might dribble a little bit. And I was not even like pregnant or anything at that point. Like, I didn't have no kids. I only was 25 or 26 years old, and you shouldn't be having dribbling issues at that age. That was so embarrassing to me, because one day while I was at the gym, I was doing, what are they called? Jump ropes, and I peed my pants. And I was like, I didn't know what to do. I just ran away. I just ran away from the gym. I did not even uh, open my locker and took my bag out or anything. I just ran out. I didn't know what to do. I could not think clearly. Another thing, mental clarity is going to be completely gone. Brain fog. These are the things that you would see when you're 35 and up, when your actual sex hormones start to decrease a little bit. But your medications like Accutane and other harsh medications that people usually get for even for anxiety and depression and all that can do this to you and can mimic these symptoms. And for me, that was the biggest one. Mm,
Oh,
the
that's
mood
so
swings
hard. I know birth control. I know not only is it given for acne, but I was placed on birth control because I had such heavy periods, and they're like,
Mhm,
this will help with that. And it was a good amount of time that I was on them, and it really messed with me. I
mhm.
feel like I'm still recovering from that. And I think
It-
that's not
yeah,
something people talk about very much. Like, what
no.
happens to you when you are on birth control for so long? And what are these synthetic hormones doing to us long term and short term even? What else we can do? And I think that's what I really want to get into with you, is like, what else can we do if we're having these issues, we're having these hormonal issues? And you mentioned metabolism, and I want to get to that too, but
Mhm.
is doing these things and taking these medications, does that play a role in affecting our metabolism?
Of course it does. It really affects the way metabolism means what? It's just really the way our body burns energy, right? And that entire process is being disrupted with medications. One thing I want to also touch base is that your estrogen, your progesterone, especially your progesterone, is your calming hormone. Remember, earlier I said that I was feeling so moody and anxious and depressed and all at the same time. it's not a wonder why I felt that way, because it really messed up my estrogen and progesterone. And your progesterone is the calming hormone, right?
Mm-hmm.
And your progesterone is required for you to really have your GABA available, which is the hormone that keeps us nice and, nice and calm and everything. When your hormones go out of whack, there is no enough progesterone to plug into the GABA receptors anymore. So it would make sense, right? Like, I'm experiencing, or people are experiencing, these effects of medications. And of course, you need your sex hormones to really work on the metabolism, because having a low estrogen and progesterone can also have effect on your thyroid hormone. And one of the major function of your thyroid hormone is to increase your metabolism. The way your body burns fat, your thyroid has a very huge role to play on that. So everything, like your endocrine system, if you think about it, like everything is affected when you take these kind of and I don't want to blame anyone, because I used to be that person. And I did that because I didn't have any information back then. And one of the biggest pieces that I found out after looking into my lifestyle was the amount of sugar I was consuming. And I'm not talking about just table sugar that you put in your coffee. I'm also talking about hyperpalatable foods. The sugar that comes from hyperpalatable foods, like high fat, high carb, high sugary foods, can really throw your insulin glucose balance out of whack. And that can also have an effect on the way your body burns energy, aka your metabolism. And that can have an impact on the way your body stores fat, and can relate to weight gain and other symptoms that you see, with this kind of medications and things like that. But yeah,
Oh,
understanding about sugar was a game changer for me. It was big. It was really huge for me.
so you're discovering all of these things about nutrition and kind of maybe some of the reasons that you were having issues with your skin, and you're saying the sugars and things like that. So what did you start doing? And you said at this time you had gone to get your nutrition certification and your
Yeah.
personal training and things like that. So, and then I want to touch on the over exercising. You did mention over exercising. So I want to talk a little bit about that and how what changes you made with when it comes to exercise.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, the way and this is very easy, guys. You can do this as well. If you are starting out your fitness journey, or if you have been in this journey for 10 years, 12 years, and you don't really know what's going on, because I've heard this many times, that I'm doing everything I can, but things are not moving in the direction I want you to do, want to move. And three pieces of things that I would look at when you are in your fitness journey is your sugar, your fiber, and your salt. Okay, because these three things can have a massive impact on the way your body is working. So let's start with sugar. So sugar, aka glucose, it's one of the main source of inflammation in our bodies. And doesn't matter what food you're eating, you're going to have some kind of a sugar spike. Okay, that's inevitable with any food you eat. There is going to be a little bit of sugar in there, so you will experience a spike. And the amount of spike that you will get really depends on what is actually present in the food itself. So just think about it. One thing I want you guys to keep in mind is that we, each one of us, are literally made up of more than 3 trillion cells. Okay, and when we are getting these spikes, all of these cells are going to get affected. So I want you to consider eating a cupcake versus eating a bowl of rice. Both of the things have sugar in it, but the sugar spike that you're going to get from eating a cupcake is going to be much more dangerous and harmful than the spike coming from a bowl of rice. Why? Because the cupcake has fructose in it, which is not going to be converted to glycogen so that it can get stored in our muscles and liver and can be used later, or that conversion doesn't really happen. So what happens is that the fructose really gets stored into your fat cells as just fat, right?
Okay, yeah.
So your fat cells increases in number and size, so you get obese by eating sugar. So those one of the ways it really happens. But as I said, before, like there are three things that happen when you get a spike, which is so important for you to understand. So the first thing that happens is that your cell gets so overwhelmed with the amount of glucose that is entering your bloodstream. So what happens is that as a response to that, your pancreas is going to start producing more insulin to clear that glucose coming into the bloodstream. Okay, so your pancreas does a very great job. It recruits the insulin because your glucose cannot stay in the bloodstream for such a long time, because then it causes hyperglycemia, which is a fatal condition. So it has to go away. Okay, so what happens when we are constantly eating sugary foods like burgers and fries, and for afternoon you go and eat a pasta, and then in the evening you eat another whatever, right? So this doesn't stop, and then you're repeating it day after day after day after day after day, right? So what happens is that your cells become so sensitive to glucose and insulin, so it shuts those things down. So your body, literally your cells, you're feeding yourself with so much of food, but your cells are literally not getting it. And once your cells get overwhelmed with the amount of glucose, then you get these smaller molecules with bigger consequences, and they're called free radicals. Okay, and too much of free radicals will create what we call as oxidative stress. We might have all heard of this term. Mm-hmm. And it can manifest as wrinkles, fine lines, dry skin, right? And I hope it's you guys are able to tie the picture together now. So that's how it manifests. So that's one way sugar affects you. Another way sugar affects you is we start to brown inside. So when we say browning, I want you to imagine a toast, okay, that you eat in the morning. You put a bread in the toaster, and it comes out brown. You cannot really undo that toasting anymore. The browning has happened. So the browning is inevitable. It's going to be there. That's the aging process, normal aging process. We are going to age as that. But what happens when we are constantly eating glucose, or when there's constant availability of sugar, glucose molecules in your system, is that each glucose molecule go and bind with other molecules. It can be like whatever kind of molecule. And I believe this was initially discovered by Lewis, I don't remember his name, Milliard or something is his last name. And this is called the Milliard phenomenon. It was discovered back in 1912, if I'm not wrong. So what happens is that, okay, just imagine this: your glucose molecule going and bombarding with your collagen, right? Because you need elastin, collagen. Those are your traveling proteins, which is going to really give you that smoother appearance, no pores, maintain that elasticity and things like that. So imagine you're constantly putting glucose into your body, and this constantly bombarding with those proteins. What is going to happen? It's going to brown. So once this process is called glycation. So once glycation happens, that's irreversible. That cell is gone. Okay, so this constantly happens over and over again, and we see under eye, darkness and eye, whatever that you see. Acne is also from this, and also other skin conditions.
When I first started my wellness journey, I had already been in the skincare industry for years, working on client skin and as an educator for multiple skincare brands. When I learned about how the toxins in our personal care and beauty products could have a negative impact on our health, I knew I needed to make a change. I was used to the result-driven products that I was working with, and I was not happy with the natural products on the market at that time. Although they were safer and cleaner, they did not meet my expectations for results. I created Simply Just Skincare to deliver the results my clients demanded from their products while using natural, toxin-free ingredients. You can check out my clients' results and reviews on my website, simplyjustskincare.com. In 30 days, my clients have reported more hydrated skin, less appearance of fine lines and wrinkles, and more of an overall glow. Our top sellers include our Repair Toner, our Hydrating Undo Serum with hyaluronic acid, and more. I am offering my listeners 20% off their first order with code PODCAST. Check it out in the link in my show notes to get glowing today.
The first one, as I talked about, is your cell shutting down glucose and insulin and free radicals. The second one we talked about is browning of the skin, the toasting effect, and it's called glycation. And the last and the third thing that is happening is that your glucose and insulin does a little bit of a dance. Okay, and it really triggers the flight or fight response, which we don't have to get into. But the point is, once that response happens, the sugar has to go somewhere. As I said before, it cannot stay on your bloodstream. So where will it go? So our body is great. Okay, we have 3 storage units. We have our liver, we have our muscles, and then we have fat. So these glucose is going to go to one of these 3 storage units. First, it will go to the liver because it's one of the easiest place it can go, because all of our things goes through the liver to get detoxified. Liver is our inbuilt toxin removing organ, right? So it goes there, but there's a catch. Your liver can only store 100 grams of glucose. It can only store that much. So to put that into a figure so that everyone understands, it's just 2 French fries, 100 grams. The 2 McDonald's French fries, that's all your liver can store. Okay. And then what is going to happen to the rest of it? It goes to the muscles. Your muscles are a little bit more efficient because when you're working out and things like that, you can use this energy stored or whatever is getting stored in the muscle. We can use that for energy purposes and whatnot. But the muscle is efficient than the liver, but it cannot do wonders or anything. Okay. It can only store 400 grams of glucose. So 400 grams, again, to put into figure, would be 6 to 7 French fries. Okay. That's all your body can store. And just imagine how much we are eating. Where is this everything else is going to go? Everything else is going to go into your fat cells. Yeah. So now we have fat cells that are filled with gunk, right? Literally fat. And we're not going to use this. Most of us have desk jobs, right? And we're not going to burn a lot of energy. It's there. It's sitting there. It's not going anywhere. So your body is not going to use it, which has a lot of effect on other systems as well. It really affects our hunger hormones because it really resists one of our appetite suppressing hormone called leptin. I know there's a lot of information I'm saying, but I think this is like important information that people need to know. And that is how it affects the metabolism as well, because it's not really burning anything, right? So this is how sugar can create a havoc in the way your body stores fat, metabolizes fat, and that's showing on our skin as skin disorders.
Oh, wow. Okay. So that's a lot.
That's a lot.
Yeah, that's a lot. So you mentioned sugar affecting all of these different things. And you mentioned salt and fiber too.
Yes.
So, and I also want to ask you too, so I don't forget, because you see online everywhere, I'm sure you've seen it, how important protein is, right? And I'm sure you see this with your clients because mostly over 35, we need even more protein. And I feel like a lot of people struggled to figure out how to get in the amount that we get. So maybe you could talk about salt and fiber, but after that, I'd love you to address like protein, and especially for women over 35.
Yeah.
Why is it important? How much do you recommend? Is it as important as everybody talks about?
Absolutely, yeah. Well, let's quickly go into the salt and the sugar part of things. Sorry, salt and the fiber.
Perfect.
Fiber is so important, you guys, because it is going to act as a buffer. Okay, everything that I talked about, the glucose part earlier, the more glucose comes into your bloodstream, the faster it's going to get stored as fat, and the faster there's going to be a sugar dip, which is why you experience the cravings and all that after you eat a big 8 slices of pizza. You still feel that sugar crash 2 hours later. This is why it happens. So what fiber does is, if you eat fiber before you eat anything else, it acts as a little cushion because we cannot really digest fiber. What happens is that fiber acts as a mesh that covers your intestinal walls, and the absorption is really delayed, meaning the rate at which your glucose reaches your bloodstream is going to be so much delayed, meaning the spike that we see and the dip is going to be so much flatter. The goal is to make the glucose curve as flatter as possible so that we're not experiencing the havoc of symptoms we experience by eating all these junk foods. Okay. So fiber is very important. And most people do not really know how much fiber they should be eating. Look at your food, what you're currently eating, track your food. And it will give you an understanding of how much fiber you're already eating. You should be, if you're over the age of 35, you should be eating minimum of 25 grams of fiber every single day. Okay. If you don't, then you're going to have a lot of cravings because, earlier I said there's no cushion. Everything is just directly going into the bloodstream. The way it goes into the mouth, it just goes so fast. So that's fiber. It's a really important piece especially for women over the age of 35 who's really struggling hard to lose weight. Another piece of it is also your salt. Salt consumption has to be in the minimal because we don't really want any water retention. We already have a lot of water retention naturally happening because we're over the age of 35, and our progesterone and estrogen does have an impact on the aldosterone, which is a hormone that is released by the adrenal cortex, and it balances the fluid and electrolyte balance. So that's already happening. So we don't need to put any more like retention from outside, right? And salt is a big culprit there. So keep your salt intake less than 2 grams if you're a female.
Okay.
If you're a male, you can go up to 2.5 to 3 grams. But if you have other health conditions like hypertension, diabetes mellitus, other like metabolic disorders, then I would keep salt intake under 1.5 grams. Okay. These three pieces, if you check on your sugar intake, ideal recommendation is less than 25 grams as well. Okay.
Okay, perfect.
So please go and look at what you're currently eating. Okay. And most people would be, and this is very true when we're working with our clients, they would be eating like 125 grams of sugar on a daily. And they'd sit there and think, oh my God, why am I not losing any weight? And
Ugh.
knowing this key piece of information changes their life so much. And this is something we do so strict with our clients so that they stay under 25 grams of sugar. They eat a minimum of 25 grams of fiber and stay under 2 grams of salt.
I love focusing on fiber too, because I feel like that, first of all, isn't talked about as much.
Yeah.
And I don't hear people talking about fiber online as much, but also I feel like that would keep you fuller too.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It will keep you fuller. And with all the hyperpalatable foods that we are used to, our reward cycle that is associated in our brain is activated, right? The hedonic eating pathways are activated because of the amount of hyperpalatable foods we eating. So hedonic eating means eating for pleasure, not for the necessity. So that system is activated. How can we, it's already there, so we cannot really bypass it, but how can we trick it? Okay, but so by keeping ourselves food with eating enough amount of fiber, enough amount of protein, which we will get into here in a second, is going to be the two main pieces that is going to help you mimic that hedonic, eating pathways that we have developed, unfortunately, due to all the hyperpalatable foods that are available. And slowly we can, try to think, we can slowly try to rewire our brain to eating healthy, and that giving us that reward sensation. Right? It's going to be a slow process, but if you concentrate on these small things, it is going to help you get there faster.
Perfect. So let's talk about the next one, protein.
Protein, yes. Protein is great. You need protein, especially if you're over the age of 35. What I have seen with more than 90% of the clients when we start working with them is that they lack protein, meaning they might be only eating like only 10 to 13% of their calories are coming from protein. That's very, very little amount of protein. That is like 2 eggs or whatever worth of protein. Okay. And you need more because we need more metabolically active tissues in our body so that our metabolism speeds up. Right? The more muscle we have, muscles are metabolically active. So the more muscles we have, the more faster the metabolism happens, meaning the easier will be us women over the age of 35, especially to lose weight, because we as women has lower muscle mass compared to men. And this will root back to the availability of testosterone, right? Because testosterone is the hormone, it's a male sex hormone. We do have that in very small quantities though. But this is a hormone that determines how muscular you are going to look, right? So we already have very little testosterone. And this is the reason why people say, oh my God, my husband, it's so easy for him to lose fat. It's so easy. Why? Because they have a lot more testosterone, meaning they have a lot more muscle mass. So they have a lot more metabolically active tissue. So if we already have lesser muscle mass, and if we are not doing anything to conserve that muscle mass, it's going to get harder and harder as we age to lose more fat. Okay. So this boils down to the amount of protein you take. I'm not saying that you should be taking protein shakes all day, every day. No, you can get enough amount of protein from your daily food. So a good rule of thumb that I use on my personal life is that I will have 20 grams of protein with all of my meals. That's no negotiable. So you don't even have to track your food or anything, but just automatically putting in 20 grams of protein to your plate will automatically adjust the amount of carbs and fat you're taking. Okay. I'm not advocating for low carb here. I'm not saying that it should be a low carb diet. I'm saying that you should eat good amount of carb as well. But it's also important that you take at least 20 grams of protein with with every meal that you're consuming. Okay, so that's a good rule of thumb. Now, the amount of protein that you eat will totally depend on your lifestyle, the workouts you're doing, because if you are a 150-pound woman and you have a sedentary life and you only work out 2 days a week, you don't need 2 grams of protein per body weight, right? That's required for a man or a woman with the same body weight, for say, for example, is 150, but they are working out 5 days a week. They're doing strength training, and they're also maybe prepping themselves for a bodybuilding competition. They would need much more protein than you do. Okay, so if you are like a regular person working out 3 to 4 days a week, a good rule of thumb is to keep your protein between 0.8 to 1 gram per body weight.
Okay.
That's what I would do. But if you have issues calculating, the easiest way to do it is 20 gram of protein per each meal. So that would be 3 egg whites, I guess, in the morning. And then half a cup of yogurt would have 20 grams of protein. What else? If you're looking at chicken breast, a palm size of a chicken breast, not the big breast, but cut in half, a palm size of it would have closer to 20-25 grams of protein. You can chop that up, put in the salad or whatnot. And then if you're a vegetarian, the beans and everything, I would say like 1/3 cup or something would have almost 20 grams of protein. So you can really get creative with protein and get that from the whole foods but you are eating on a daily. And if you feel like you don't really want to do that and you want to take protein shake, go for it. But take your protein shake always after a workout, after some kind of activity is done, because it's not like natural, right? It's coming from a powder and it will take longer time to digest and things like that. So it has to be done after workout so that we are helping that digestion process as well.
Oh, I love that. It's so interesting now. When I feel like the old way of thinking was, you're working out all the time and you're not having that protein. It's like you're just losing. It's like a missed opportunity to build your muscle, and
Exactly.
that's what is going to help you lose the fat that you want to lose in the first place. And it's
Yeah.
just like, I wish I was told that 20 years ago, because I used to work out so much and
Mhm.
protein was not on my radar,
Yeah.
at all. And that was just not something that we were taught to prioritize. It was just, don't do stuff, don't eat this, don't eat that. But it was never like, make sure you have enough. And it's just it's such a great reminder to, we need to work on our metabolism. We have to build our muscle, and we have to, especially if we're working out and using strength training and all that stuff, we have to make sure that we're getting in our protein. So I love that. I love all that
Exactly.
information. Thank you. So
Yeah.
I'd love to talk more about metabolism. And
Mhm.
now that you're working with these women in perimenopause, I love this topic because so many of my listeners are in perimenopause or will be
Sure.
soon. How is it different for them when they're trying to lose fat? Because that's what we want to lose, not just weight. We want to lose our fat, and it's like so difficult. They're saying,
Mhm.
I'm having so many challenges losing weight, and it just feels like it's not as easy as it used to be. So what are some issues that your clients have in this stage of life, and how do you help them with that problem?
Sure. So one of the common things that women stepping into perimenopause see is the right off the bat, they put on 2 to 10 pounds out of thin air. They don't really know what happened.
Right.
So they put all this weight all of a sudden. And another thing that people see or experience during this time of perimenopause, and they think it's so hard to deal with, is tummy fat. And it is due to the fat redistribution that is unfortunately happening because your estrogen and progesterone is going flux, it's going low, it's going up, so it's all over the place. And the actual reason why this fat redistribution means the fat coming from sitting in your peripheries, your arms, your legs, and everything goes into the center part of your body. Okay, so right around your chest, your tummy, some people see it around their hips, so it's going to look different for each one of us, but this redistribution happens. And having information around, okay, this is what I should be expecting. Not everyone is going to expect this at this intensity, right? At high intensity, everyone is going to experience this as varying intensity, but I want you to be prepared. Okay, if you are entering into that phase that you are going to see some belly fat showing, you are going to see all of a sudden 2 to 10 pounds coming on. And it's not necessarily fat that all whole weight you're gaining is not just fat. It is also, as I said before, that your hormones are changing, so that will have an impact on your adrenal cortex and your fluid electrolyte balance regulation. So most of this also can be your water weight, the water retaining, because your body is sending weird signals to the adrenal cortex, and it's telling, hey, don't let go of that sodium, we need that sodium. So sodium stays back. When sodium stays back, water is sodium's best friend, she stays back as well. So our cardiovascular system is a closed loop system. So if something stays there, it stays there. We don't have anywhere. It doesn't go anywhere. And it can show us bloating, inflammation, swelling, and all that stuff. So over the age of 35, what I want you to understand is that please do not go after diets, because then that can only create more trouble than what you're already experiencing. Because I know how many people are here doing keto diets, intermittent fasting, not here, but I'm talking about the clients that I have worked with. And I chat on a regular basis, done keto diets, intermittent fasting, paleo diets, and whatnot, like low calorie diets, high protein, high fat. Some people do, there's so many diets. And I remember one lady coming to me and she was doing something called the Cambridge diet. And she was 36 or 37 and struggling with perimenopause. So, Cambridge diet, if you do not know what it is, I didn't know it at that point either. So she explained this to me, is that she will get sachet of like powder food. So what she does is she put sachet and mix it with water and drink that 3 times a day.
Oh,
I know, horrible. So she did that for 6 months. But the thing is that she was not only losing any weight, but she started to gain weight, because your body will not let go of fat until you learn how to nourish it the right way, because it is thinking, okay, I am entering into a starvation period. We don't know how much longer we have got to live. Let me hold on to all that fat so that I can keep you alive. Our body will always prioritize survival over anything else. Okay? Survival over childbirthing. And most people will see that they have difficulty conceiving once they're over the age of 30, 35. This is the reason why. So our body prioritizes survival, and weight loss is not even in the picture. Okay, so if we do things like this, that is going to make it harder for our body to lose weight. You're going to hang on to that fat for the longest period of time. Okay, it's inevitable. So what I want you guys to do is really look at your nutrition and think, how can I really balance this food? Okay, how can I make sure that I'm eating enough of fiber, eating enough of protein, eating enough of fat? And mindlessly cutting calories is also not the solution to weight loss when you enter that perimenopause transition periods. Okay, so if you are someone who has been eating 1,000 calories, let's say for example, because we hear that number all the time, 1,200 calories for such a long time, and you are on a plateau, please go ahead and increase your food intake. You're not going to gain any weight. Okay, that's a misinformation, and people are so scared of gaining any weight. You're not going to gain any weight. It's just that phase that that just reassurance that you're giving to your body that it's okay, food is available. We don't have to hold on to all that fat anymore. Okay, this is what metabolic resetting is all about, is retraining your body to eat more food so that it reaches its ideal metabolic state, and then we start the fat loss from there.
I thought I've heard it all. As far as diets go, I've never heard of the Cambridge diet. We
Yeah.
put ourselves through the
So,
ringer. I'm telling you.
yeah.
I mean, and I'm so guilty of this. It's so frustrating too when you realize we're doing all of these things. We're literally torturing ourselves, and it's not helping. It's making everything worse. We said a lot of your clients come to you and they're at such a low calorie deficit. It's like they're scared. They're like, what happens? Like, if I eat more, I'm going to gain all this weight, when really our bodies need so much more. And you can not have to be torturing yourself and eat
Mhm.
balanced, like you said, and eat enough. And it's like, it's mind blowing, because we've been told and brainwashed in this culture of just, it's got to happen really fast.
Yeah.
And this is how you can do it. We're all so confused. So this has been so helpful, and it's the information that we really need. And I would love if you could tell us a little bit more about how people can work with you or programs that you offer, because this is so helpful.
Awesome. So this is what I want to do actually. So I want to do something really special for your listeners, that you stayed until the end of this podcast. So I do really want to do this as a form of me saying thank you. So what I'm going to share with you guys, you cannot really find this anywhere else on the internet, and it's typically something that I only give to my paying clients. However, as I said, you stayed until the end of the show, and I really want this to give this to you for absolutely free. So what I call is this called the Midlife Metamorphosis Kit. So what this will include is that this is going to work perfect for if you're a woman over the age of 30, 35, and you feel like you're struggling really hard to lose that weight and struggling with protein intake and things like that. So this will have a 7-day workout plan with workouts that you can do under 30 minutes. It's going to be perfect for if you're a busy woman and you don't have time to live in the gym. Not only that, I'm going to give you an entire grocery list that will tell you exactly what foods to look when you go to the grocery store to buy, so that you can travel through this perimenopausal period and learn how to control your weight and look amazing at the same time. So not just that, we really talked a lot about protein today, and I know that's one of the biggest topic out there, and people really struggling to meet their protein requirement. So I have also included a recipe book that will have 50 plus high protein recipes. So if you guys want this for absolutely free, just go to my Instagram and you can find me at Anne Maria Tom and send me the keyword Jess, Jez, Jess, and I will send that over to you. So once again, if you want the Midlife Metamorphosis Kit, send me the keyword Jess on Instagram at Anne Maria Tom, and then I will send that over to you. And one more thing is that Jess is doing amazing job here. I listened to so many of her podcasts already, and I really love, and the people that she bring onto this channel is really amazing. So you guys are getting a lot of information. So if you feel like she is doing the trick in helping you guys navigate through this journey, please like her podcast and share it with others. I'm going to do that today on my Instagram. So you guys do it as well, as a way of thanking her on showing up for us every day.
You are so sweet. That is so kind of you, and so generous of you to offer everybody such a value there with your free gifts. So I'm going to just go ahead and put my name in your Instagram messages, because I want it. I'm always looking for ways to find easy high protein meals, because it's tough. It takes some effort at first. Yeah. And then once you get the hang of it, it comes so much easier. So it was an absolute pleasure speaking with you. Thank you for everything that you shared with us. I am so grateful that you came on today.
Thank you so much for having me today, Jess. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for listening to this week's episode. Please subscribe and review so we can reach more people who want to learn to glow alongside us. See you next time.